Hello everyone, this is a tuning of a Intel 10900 engineering sample on a Z419 Phantom Gaming ITX Thunderbolt 3. We're running some Lexar 2066 memory. Now we have VT3 running for 6 hours, 7 hour and 50 of TM5 completed, a couple of Limpack runs, Piprime, Y Cruncher, and yeah, so the memory is not labeled. For some reason I cannot read from Typhon Banner. I'll try to read from CPU-Z, but no luck either here. So I guess it's Samsung. So it doesn't really matter the fact that this CPU has 2933 limit as being an engineering sample. As you can see here, it's running as ES. So that's the frequency we're running to, 1463, and the timings are shown, of course, on timing configurator here. We are running at 124 DRAM voltage, so it's very low. I'm gonna show you the BIOS settings. And this situation, I also had to modify the cooler in a very junky way, as I got this cooler from a client because his machine was running super hot and I couldn't figure out the reason why, so I just swapped the cooler. And then now I found out that the problem was actually in the mounting system mechanism. This like a ring, plastic ring, doesn't have enough strength to really pressure the cooler itself. So we're gonna disassemble my contraption and show you. On the left you can see the reason for this machine being in the lab, which is the machine was actually losing the settings on the CMOS, and this machine has used a notebook CMOS that is hidden under the VRM heatsink. So I decided to just make an adapter for a normal CMOS battery and slap it here, as the client will be also using. I mean, this machine runs in a studio where they always turn off the power. So this guy rarely keep the machine the AC on. So the RAM battery was like the CMOS battery died very early, like after 2 years of use. Okay, so the CPU is again an engineering sample, nothing to see here. Power limit is 111. The cooler previously was not able to sustain more than 80 watts. Now I'm running comfortably in the 80 Cs, 80 degrees with the 111. Here you can see some memory settings. Command rate 1 is nice. TRFC, that's sweet spotting here. Going lower doesn't really improve the performance. At some point I was getting regression, so I decided to stick it there. I might be able to run higher refresh, but I don't want to risk it. And I had to fix a lot of those secondary timings because they were actually like changing a lot between different boots. Like rebooting would change those random timings. So I decided to just stick them to the lower value. And so the offset is 100 for a load line calibration of 4. 5 is giving me slightly lower results. I might be unstable in the end, so I decided to stick to 4. That's also usually the best settings for this kind of CPU. In my experience, if I run it on a board, this is the limit for the motherboard. I cannot go lower than 100, minus 100. In my experience with gigabyte boards, I'm usually able to run 110, 115, not more than that, so doesn't really matter that much. And level 5 again doesn't really work, like doesn't really provide performance benefits, so I guess it's unstable. Offset for the GPU is 100, and here level 5 is fine. I'm running on through the iGPU. System agent 095. DRAM, as I told you, is 124. I/O is 935. I was also able to slightly reduce the VCPLL, lowering the disk crashes the system. I didn't touch this. Well, I thought, whatever. And yeah, I guess this is all for the settings. And we'll now show you the contraption here. I used the AM4 bracket, I guess, from a random cooler. Here you can see the plastic ring that was previously like applying all the pressure to the cooler down there, which is like just an aluminum thin, huge aluminum block. Like this is super cheap, and I think they also market this kind of coolers without a fan as passive coolers. I mean, they used to do that when like CPUs were only quad cores, so 50, 60 watts was the average power consumption for these. But yeah, the real problem was the mounting pressure, so this metal ring really does the job a lot better. I also had to swap the thermal paste with PTM 7950. That also, I guess, helped. I mean, that wasn't the first try, but it didn't really help without the pressure from this mounting mechanism. But I guess now it's also it's doing this part. The mounting mechanism also interferes a lot with the memory, and again I also had to fine a little bit on the fins here to actually fit here, as you can maybe see from here. Yeah, that was all in all a very labor intensive job. Here's the memory stick. It's labeled Lexar on the ICs themselves, so really not possible to determine the manufacturer. I'm gonna slap some more heat spreaders on this memory stick there, just to be sure, because this is high density. Even at 124, I want it to stay as cold as possible. And I guess this is all for the video. Ciao!